Ladies and gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And we are back with you for another episode. As you can see, I'm wearing the orange beanie in memory of the Cincinnati Bengals season, as we are about to break down what we witnessed on Thursday night. Gosh, we thought we finally had a good one, you guys. We thought we had a good one on our hands. And Bezos just wouldn't let it happen. Bezos just said, he just smashed the red button and said, nope, no fun times for any NFL fans tonight. Gosh, I'm so hopeful. It's going to be so good, Wes. It's going to be so good. It's going to be such a great, crazy divisional game. Break the curse. And then we'll get into it in a little bit. You all know, you saw, you watched. If you didn't, we're going to talk about it in just a little bit as we recap Thursday Night Football on today's episode. Do a little bit of a Week 11 looking forward, Week 11 preview, some studs and duds that we're looking forward to. And obviously going to give you some news. Before we do all that, Wes, how you doing? How's it going?
I'm doing all right. My girlfriend is basically holding a knife up to me because I said, look, maybe we should start Josh Dobbs instead of Lamar Jackson. And after the way he played last night, she's looking at me and kind of giving me the look like, are you sure? And it's like, okay, I don't know if he's going to do that. He'll do well. It may not be this, but it's good to at least see Lamar Jackson put up some decent numbers, some good stats, get a good fantasy outlook after a lot of bad weeks in a row. So that's something that's pretty good. I'm scared, but we'll see what happens if I make it back after Thanksgiving. Yeah,
I'll make sure to keep in touch. We'll see what. Hopefully nothing happens. Yeah, we'll make sure we're good there.
I mean, rooting for Josh Dobbs so hard this week. Yeah. Like, please do better than Lamar Jackson.
You're just like, wear it. Come on, let's go.
I'll need to do something to make sure that I convince her I did the right thing. Anyway, how are you?
Good to see. I'm okay. Listen, Wes, it's in our league, one of our leagues that we play in, Wes, it's the league I went on a rant on last week about, where I'm 3-7, and right now I'm in a situation where every single week is a playoff is a playoff game for me. I have to win,
right,
to go out to make playoffs, to have a chance. And let me tell you, when you're in the bathroom and you hear, it takes it out left to Zay Flowers, and then you hear the crowd start to yell, and then you hear Al Michaels get animated for the one time in the game. Thanks, Al. And you quickly finish doing what you're doing and sprint out to the living room, only to see them announcing a flag after I just heard someone yell and he's in for the touchdown.
Yeah.
Check on a Zay Flowers owner if you know one, guys. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but just know that Zay Flowers owners are going through it after Thursday night. It could have been such a good start to the week. I believe it. Could have been such a good start. Wes, you and I are playing against each other in this league where I need to win out. And I was like, Zay Flowers was the risky start for Thursday night for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta get something. I was
left with more questions for sure.
Almost a 20+ point night from him. And then it was just rough, rough stuff. Listen, we got a fun show for you guys today. It's going to be a good time. Before we jump into it, make sure you are following us on all our social media. And I know what you're thinking. You guys always do this part. You guys always have to follow you on socials. We get it. At Fourth and Troll. On Facebook at Fourth and Troll Fantasy. Shut up, Noah. Get to the news. All right? But listen, this time it's really important that you guys do this because this episode is our last episode until we come back from Thanksgiving. We're taking a little bit of time off, spending some time with some family, some loved ones. Wes, you and I are actually spending Thanksgiving together here in Arizona. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to have a blast. But make sure you are following us on all of our socials at Fourth and Troll, on Facebook at Fourth and Troll Fantasy, because we're going to be dropping content exclusively on socials. We're not going to take time to record the episode. We're going to spend some more time with family, loved ones, enjoy the week together. But make sure you're following us on all the socials, because we will be able to get some content to you guys, some need to know. We'll drop you our top waiver ads. We'll drop you studs and duds for Thanksgiving games. We'll drop you studs and duds for the weekend. It's going to be important. Make sure you're following us, because we're going to have a blast. Make sure you're all there. And now that we've got that going on, make sure you actually subscribe, like, ring that bell, drop a comment, let us know if you're a Zay Flowers owner, and let us know how many boxes of tissues you went through on Thursday night.
Fair enough.
I went through four. Let's jump into the news, Wes. We got some things to talk about before we break down Thursday night football and some injuries we got to talk about.
A lot of injuries. So before we jump into the entirety of the news from the last episode, this is likely the trade deadline in fantasy football by the end of this week. Some leagues, it ends tomorrow. Some, it's Monday. Some, it's Tuesday. Make sure you know your deadline so you can get that last missing piece for your playoff run to get that championship. Okay. Last night, as we all saw, Joe Burrow hurt his throwing hand, and when he attempted to pass on the sideline, it just dropped out of his palm. Shortly after that, Zach Taylor, well, first he was ruled out, and then Zach Taylor, after the game, commented saying that it is a sprained wrist. Now, Noah, we got a glimpse of what this Bengals offense looks like without Joe Burrow. We got a glimpse of what it was like without T. Higgins. If T. Higgins is not back as well, these are two major pieces. What is your first thought on what this Bengals offense looks like without Joe Burrow as far as fantasy goes?
It's tough. It's a tough look for the Bengals offense. Their defense suffered some injuries as well. It was a rough night all around for Cincinnati. It's hard for me to believe they can make a playoff push without Joe Burrow here, gearing up. 7-8 weeks left in the season. If he's maybe out for 3 or 4, and I don't know if they can make it as a 9-win team into the playoffs in the AFC, as they're already a little bit on the outside looking in. It's tough. Just last week, the AFC North was all 4 of the teams were in the playoffs. And now we're looking at this and things have shaken up a bunch. We'll talk about it a little more in the news, but I'm concerned. Jamar Chase obviously scores a last-second garbage time touchdown and maybe salvages your night for fantasy. Tyler Boyd doesn't really do a whole lot. He gets a handful of targets and a few catches. The biggest benefactor was Joe Mixon. So for fantasy football,
for sure,
Joe Mixon will be certainly looking to carry a little bit more of the load and a stronger piece going forward to close out the season. But man, this is a tough look for the Bengals offense that we're usually used to seeing be so high powered, explosive, big plays. With Jake Browning, the most explosive play they had the whole night with him was his own rush for 25 yards or something like that.
Right,
with a few minutes left in the game, and so it doesn't look good. I don't think this team makes the playoffs. I don't think this team really has a shot in the division anymore. It's very disappointing. We obviously don't know the severity, but without Joe Burrow in this team in this lineup, it's going to be very, very difficult going forward in NFL terms and in fantasy football terms.
Yeah, and Jake Browning, I think, got his first NFL snap in week 1 when the Bengals were getting blown out, and it's not like this is some veteran journeyman that's going to help try to support the Bengals, and maybe when Burrow's back, they can make that playoff push. No, this is basically a rookie. This is no offense to Jake Browning, but like this is a nobody that's going to try to handle this high-powered offense, and it feels like bad news. Bad news for Jamar Chase owners. Bad news for T. Higgins when he's back. bad news for Tyler Boyd, and the only good news is Joe Mixon. Like, there were a few times I was looking around, and they're saying the cut was made by, and I was like, who? Like, some of these Bengals pass catchers, I was like, I don't think I knew your name.
Yeah.
So I have low expectations for the Bengals offense, and I mean, it might be too little too late. Maybe you can try to sneak in some trade to get rid of a Bengals player. I mean, is it worth it to get rid of Bengals players while you can? Or do you ride this out and pray that they find the end zone? What do you think?
If you can find a buyer for T. Higgins, even when he's been injured, if you can find a buyer for Tyler Boyd, if someone's interested and you can get 50 cents on the dollar back, you may as well give it a go. I think the only one you need to keep is Jamar Chase, because Jamar Chase is not, I don't know if I'll say quarterback proof, but he is one of the most talented players in the NFL. It's kind of like how we're still rolling out Devontae Adams. You know, he's got Aiden O'Connell, but you still roll out Devontae Adams because he's Devontae Adams. I think you still roll out Jamar Chase because he's Jamar Chase. Jake Browning may not be a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL, but he's on an NFL roster for a reason. He can get a player the football. He came in cold, it wasn't part of the scheme, wasn't part of the plan for the team this week. Maybe on a long week, extra prep, they have a little bit of a better chance next week, but it doesn't look great. It does not look great for the Bengals fantasy football players going forward and for the Bengals organization for the rest of the season. And it's disappointing because after a rough start, we were all very encouraged, very excited, and now it seems to be a little bit of a letdown. But hey, all that to say, hope you listened to us when we said to trade Nico Collins for Jamar Chase, because we told you. We knew
it was a better quarterback now.
Yeah, we knew it. We knew it was going to happen. I mean, obviously we did not. But I mean,
I'll close
it's tough going
with
forward.
this.
Go for it.
Here's the remaining schedule for the Cincinnati Bengals. Pittsburgh Steelers, Jacksonville Jaguars, Indianapolis Colts, Minnesota Vikings, Pittsburgh Steelers, and they close out the fantasy football season against the Chiefs. You think Jake Browning is going to be able to pull off enough for Jamar Chase?
Yeah, I think he's stoked to hang out with TJ Watt twice in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Gosh. And then Chris Jones and the entire Chiefs defense. That'll be fun. And then Josh Allen on the Jaguars and whatever. Jake Browning's gonna beat the Colts. I'll call that out. I'll call that one now. Who knows?
Well, I do wonder if maybe there is a reason to trade Jamar Chase and someone that's going to try to buy low and give you a really good wide receiver too. But you let us know in the comments. Are you going to try to buy low on any of these Bengals wide receivers? Or are you trying to trade them while you can? Because it is bleak in Cincinnati. It is not looking good.
Yeah, let's do this. Not looking good for maybe Jamar Chase, some of these Bengals skill players, but with Jamar Chase, let's do this. Would you take in return knowing that Joe Burrow will get a little more clarity, but that injury didn't look like he was going to be throwing the ball anytime soon, anywhere close to what he can? Would you take Marquise Brown for Jamar Chase right now? If someone wants to take that risk and get Jamar from you?
With the hope that Kyler Murray plays as well as he did and gets that connection, I need to sit on it. I need to sleep on it, but there's a chance, there's a shot that I do.
I think I would too. I think I would. I think that's somewhere
it's tough.
The upside is there, the opportunity is there. I think that's a good trade potentially if you need to do that. Hey, would you trade? Would you take Noah Brown in exchange for Jamar Chase right now?
Don't set me up with another Texas wide receiver, man. He's going to come back and bite me again on TikTok. I can't do this. No, I would not. I would not trade Jamar Chase for Noah Brown.
I would not either. You're right, Wes. That was a little bit of a setup just to see where we went there. Last one I'll talk about here. Let's see. Would you trade Jamar Chase for let's do this. Another wide receiver who just lost their starting quarterback for the season as well. Would you trade Ja'Marr Chase for Amari Cooper right now?
I might bite on that because I saw what Amari Cooper did last year with Jacoby Brissett, and I'm not going to sit here and say either PJ Walker nor Dorian Thompson-Robinson are as good as Jacoby Myers, but I've seen Amari Cooper put up big stats with a number of quarterbacks, so I might go there. I might say yes to that.
That might be one I'm worth doing as well. So, a few guys there. If you're just lost and you're hoping to get something for Ja'Marr Chase, maybe a few people you can make offers for there, some options. It's tough. And congratulations, Joe Mixon owners. You just got probably a back end RB1 for the remainder of the season now. So
truly.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of that sad news. Let's move on to some sad news. Hey, Mark Andrews suffered an ankle injury last night, and he left on crutches, and it's supposed to be season-ending for the superstar tight end. Now, Isaiah Likely will fill in as a tight end 1 for the Ravens. He has been great as Andrews fill in, but this is very sad news for Mark Andrews and for fantasy managers that have him. Let's move on from sad news onto some sad news. Hey, keep it going. Odell Beckham Jr. suffered a shoulder injury at the end of the game. Doesn't appear to be too serious, but we'll monitor that as we go into week 12 because apparently he's having a little bit of a resurgence there in Baltimore. Okay, now for the sad news, let's move on to some sad news. Hey, Deshaun Watson fractured his shoulder and is done for this season. Now, instead of PJ Walker, they decided to announce Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to be the starter against the Steelers. Have fun. Let's see how that goes. Anyway, hey, enough of that sad news. Now, some sad news. The Bills offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, was fired right after the Monday night loss to the Broncos. They decided to elevate Joe Brady, who I believe was their quarterback coach there in Buffalo. Some people may know him from the Panthers. He was there as an OC there. Probably more famously, he was the OC with Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, and Ja'Marr Chase when they played in LSU, and Joe Burrow threw 60 touchdowns.
Tough job.
That's enough of the sad news. Yeah, I know. Gee, can you imagine trying to score with those lousy plebes?
How did he get a job in the NFL after that? I have no... Wow.
Jeez. I worked hard. The grind is real. Anyway, a little bit of some good news to kind of break up the rhythm here. Hey, Justin Fields is going to be starting. That's fantastic. After multiple practices in a row, he's good to go. Also looks like Khalil Herbert is ready. I haven't seen anything official. Have you? Feels like that's on the
I haven't,
track.
but they did. Chicago did
starting.
waive Darrington Evans, which I believe is a sign that they're gonna activate Khalil Herbert. So that's my best guess. I believe we'll play this week.
Yeah, fair
Against
enough.
the Detroit Lions. Have fun starting them.
Yeah, good luck. Hey, now Alexander Mattison staying there in the NFC North. Alexander Mattison is still in concussion protocol. He may not play. It's unlikely to play as the doctors have yet to clear him.
I mean,
Ty Chandler. No, it's not fist.
Sorry. No, I didn't mean like...
Can't see straight!
I didn't mean
Can't
it
even
like
stand
that.
up, baby. Got a spot on the field.
I'm a terrible person. As a
Ty
fantasy
Chandler
football
owner
player who spent a decent amount of fab on Ty Chandler this week because I need a spot start because I need to win every week to make the playoffs. I would love for Alexander Mattison to do the safest thing for him and prioritize his well-being and his health and just allow him to take another week to recover, make sure he's fully good, fully there. I may or may not have been refreshing X all day waiting for the Vikings practice report just to see. And then he was upgraded to a limited participant after not participating on Wednesday. And I I was no. Right. So it's
no. Ty
why are you getting better? Yeah, it's just
he'll be the starter.
And all the Ty Chandler
Madison...
owners collectively just did a I mean, it get better.
No,
that's
not good. Anyway,
yeah, anyways,
hey, remember this guy, Pat Fryermuth? He's expected to play for the first time since week 4. He's been cleared from IR, ready to see his first in-game action. Excited to see what the Muth will do. Get the Muth ready again, baby.
Is the Muth gonna get loose?
I hope the Muth. I want the Muth to get so loose, baby. Alrighty, more good news. Devon Achane is officially going to play against the Las Vegas Raiders. And we will see if he is just the same as we last saw him against the New York Giants back in week 5 or something. Okay. Last couple here. Nico Collins returned to practice, but Dameon Pierce still has not after missing 2 practices in a row, which leads Devin Singletary to likely start again for the 3rd time in a row. This is interesting. I love this. I don't know if anyone else cares about this, but I just want to... Okay. The New York Jets released their running back, Michael Carter. Okay. Robert Saleh stated that they cut him instead of benching him because they wanted to give their rookie, Israel Abanikanda, a chance. And they cut Carter instead of benching him because they wanted him to have a shot somewhere else. Now, hours after that happened, the Arizona Cardinals signed Michael Carter. I thought Michael Carter was good his rookie year, and he never had a shot. Hopefully, he gets some good work in Arizona. I don't actually expect anything this year, but speaking of Ty Chandler, and last episode I said, dude, Ty Chandler was so good in last year's preseason, but I was like, man, you're never going to get an opportunity because you're behind Dalvin Cook and then Alexander Madison. This preseason, Israel Abanikanda was the bee's knees.
Yeah.
I thought he was fantastic. And again, that same thought happened. It was like, man, behind Breece Hall and then Dalvin Cook again, I was like, man, I hope he gets a shot. This also says to me, Dalvin Cook may not be the guy. I mean, they may just be like, well, we're going to go ahead and move Dalvin Cook around. Maybe he's going to be the 3rd string, 3rd down back, something like that. But also, one last thing here. If anyone's watched, if they've braved themselves to watch any Jets games, Michael Carter, end of the game, garbage time, so many PPR points. He's gotten like 7 points in like consecutive games for no reason. Izzy, as they call him there, might have a shot. Okay, keep that in the back of your mind. We'll see if anything pans out from there. Last piece here, hilarious. Hilarious news to end this segment out with. This is titled Not News, but Gossip. The Patriots locker room is reportedly out on Mac Jones, per multiple sources. The Patriots head into their bye this week, and it's possible they come out the other side with Bailey Zappi as their starter.
Whoa!
What a way to close out the news segment.
Ramondre Stevenson, 12 targets in 2 weeks, baby. Let's go.
Oh, please. That's it for the news. Let's talk about a very interesting and disappointing Thursday night recap between the Bengals at Ravens.
Do we have to?
Just a little bit.
I don't really want to, but I guess we will.
I know, that's
for
fair.
the trollers.
Just a couple things.
It's supposed to be a good one, you guys. It's supposed to be a good one. Injuries. Injuries are the thing that take us out of getting a good game here. Listen, most of our picks for Thursday night hit as far as must starts, risky starts, don't starts. The only thing that really didn't was a must start, which was Tyler Boyd, and I'm willing to put an asterisk next to that because Joe Burrow doesn't play half the game. I mean, it wasn't great in the first half, but Joe Burrow's a good second half player. Could have come out, could have done more. So Tyler Boyd, 5.2 fantasy points. I'm sorry if you rolled him out. I rolled him out in a league. Disappointing stuff. Definitely not exciting when you're getting Jake Browning to throw you your passes for half the game after not practicing all week. The risky starts. We'll talk about him here. Keaton Mitchell. Actually, I want to talk about Zay Flowers first real quick. I already mentioned him a little bit in the intro. At the beginning of the show, Zay Flowers, 8 fantasy points. I'm glad he got to 8. It's not like it was 2 and it bombed your week. Like, sometimes you get 8 from a flex and you still win. Maybe Zay Flowers is your flex this week, and that's how that went. And it's just disappointing.
Yeah.
A 68-yard screen pass that he housed. He housed a screen pass 68 yards, and it got called back on a hold. The most garbage holding call I've ever seen. What the hell? I was so angry. That wasn't a hold.
Couldn't
That
find
wasn't a hold at
anything.
all. There was nothing there. Kirk Herbstreit said on the broadcast, like, this officiating tonight is a little suspect, you guys. Like, I don't know. Like, when the announcer is like, wow, these guys kind of suck tonight. Because, like, even a few drives later, or I might have even been on the same drive. It was their drive before the half for the Ravens. Like, Zay Flowers, their drive gets saved again from like a PI call on a pass intended for Zay Flowers. And it was like, the guy didn't touch Zay Flowers. Like, the officiating on Thursday night was bad. Like, some really, really bad calls. It was just rough. But Zay Flowers gets probably his most explosive play of the season. His biggest play of the year, of his rookie year. Under the lights, in prime time. Rookie looking to show out. Houses a screen pass 70 yards. And it gets called back on a bogus holding call. And we are a fantasy football podcast. We all know that. Wipes out a 13.8 point play for Zay Flowers. He would have been looking at nearly a 22 point night with this play.
Wow.
And not for nothing, the play where Lamar Jackson had enough time to read Harry Potter front to back.
Oh my gosh.
Before he threw the ball. That pass and catch, the pass was incredible.
Oh, that's
and right. The effort from Zay Flowers, he was about a foot out of bounds still, but the effort there, that could have been, if things were different, that could have been another touchdown. It was just, we were really close to a huge Zay Flowers game. I'm encouraged. The 4 targets isn't great, but I'm encouraged to see the explosiveness there. And to be honest, they were in a situation where in the second half, they were just like, hey, they don't want to stop the run. So we're just going to keep running it down their throat. And like I think Lamar attempted like 4 passes for the rest of the game once they hit like midway through the third quarter. So, I mean, it's just 8 points isn't great. It's not the worst. Hopefully you get maybe a player later in the week who goes a few points over their projection to even it out for you. I know I'm hoping so. Looking at you, Ty Chandler. Let's figure it out here, bud. Huh? Why don't we get in the end zone? What do you think? Better days for Zay Flowers.
Rest.
Yeah, take it easy, bud. Mr. Madison. This restored a little bit of my confidence in Zay Flowers. He does still seem to be given the opportunities involved. I was close, if this wasn't going to be a good game, to moving him to the bench and just needing to maybe make him a matchup week, but I think this is enough for me to look at him and go, they're giving him the opportunity. Game script wasn't fully there. He showed he's explosive. And with no Mark Andrews, Mark Andrews was his biggest competition for targets, for opportunities. I'm sure they will be looking to get Zay Flowers even more involved. So he's definitely still going to be fired up in lineups. So keep him in there.
And that was the whole thing in training camp was, like, Mark Andrews is still the guy, but Lamar Jackson was targeting Zay Flowers so much in the offseason. So without Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, you've got to believe, right? You've got to imagine that coming off a good win, albeit the opponent's starting quarterback goes down, you're kind of guaranteed a win when that happens. But they're coming off a win, and they're going to look at all these missed opportunities with Zay Flowers, and they're going to say, well, we know we've got something here that we're going to try to carry with these 10 days, right? Like, it just feels like, I mean, what is it, 13.8 points from that Screenhouse touchdown, and then maybe you want to throw in another 10 points from that touchdown that he caught out of bounds. I mean, holy cow. We're looking at close to 30 points. I mean, that is there. That ceiling is there. And that's what you want to just latch onto and hope that you can roll them out and it hits. Because when it hits, I mean, it's going to keep going, right? It just feels like that. It's just going to domino because we've been waiting for him to score a touchdown on American soil. Yeah. That's yet to happen. So hopefully this is a momentum. Yeah.
It will. Yeah. It'll get there. Remaining schedule for Zay Flowers here. They're at the Chargers next week, who you can definitely throw the ball against. We saw Amon-Ra St. Brown have a day just last week. They've got a bye week, and then they got the Rams. Not a super tough defense. Better run defense than pass defense, it seems. And then the playoff schedule at Jacksonville, at San Francisco, and then home to Miami. All three of those are favorable matchups, believe it or not, even though those three defenses are actually very good. They give up a lot of receptions to the slot wide receiver there, whereas Zay Flowers is lining up. I don't know if you guys remember Adam Thielen had a fantastic game against the Dolphins, got in the end zone himself there as well. So better days to come for Zay Flowers. With no Mark Andrews, you got to keep firing him up. And I'm sure Lamar, they had a cutaway shot, and it was like near around halftime, maybe just started the third quarter, where Lamar and Zay Flowers are both like together talking. Zay was going, I got this guy here and this kind of stuff. They're going to get that connection going. It's going to be good. So there you go.
Good.
Another Raven to talk about, though, guy highly talked about right now, it seems like, and somebody that a lot of people were excited about, is Keaton Mitchell. He was a risky start. 5.1 fantasy points. I was hesitant on starting him. I was a little worried about what's the workload going to look like. He has surpassed Justice Hill. That is very clear. He is the number 2 back. And it felt like it really did. John Harbaugh came out this week and said, we want to get Keaton Mitchell more involved. And he was out there a lot. He was on the field a lot. I don't know the exact snap count. It won't surprise me if he was above 40% in this game. It felt pretty close to that. Now, here's the thing. When they get inside the 10-yard line, it's going to be Gus Edwards or it's going to be Lamar Jackson if it's a rushing touchdown. Keaton Mitchell is going to need those big plays. That's what that's going to be. But he was out there a lot. I think this is a sign. I don't know if I'm ready and comfortable to fire him up next week, but I'm watching very closely after a 10-day break, after losing a big offensive weapon in their offense in Mark Andrews. Are they going to get creative? How are they going to use Keaton Mitchell next week? What's it going to look like? They want him on the field. All signs are pointing to it. Harbaugh talks about it, and we see it on Thursday. He's on the field a lot. Bengals run defense was just pretty good. They had Trey Hendrickson back, who made a freaking impact and a half in the first half. And so that was another, when I saw that was another little piece of me that was like, okay, I'm gonna wait one more week on Keaton. But 8 for 33, nearly 5 yards a carry, and had a little screen pass that he made a couple moves on, looked good, and even broke a tackle on. So, Wes, you and I were talking earlier before the game. You had a trade offer come in that involved Keaton Mitchell. Right. Do you want to talk about it real quick?
Yeah. So I've been trying to get shares in Keaton Mitchell for most of leading up till Thursday, see if I could try to slide him in. And the offer was for Devonta Smith. To acquire Devonta Smith, someone was going to give me Keaton Mitchell and Drake London. Uh-huh. And I was excited about it, but I still feel better about Devonta Smith over Drake London. But I also, I pretty much I've got James Cook, I've got Jonathan Taylor, I've got Devon Achane. So I'm okay, but I would like one extra piece. But you made the great case as to why it was okay the trade wasn't kind of finalized before Thursday, which was my thought is that
were you I didn't know if you were pitching to me or if you were gonna
that was a beautiful baton pass, and then you stopped and looked and like, what a good baton pass.
And I was like, wow, man, that was a pure handoff right there. Good job, dude.
Stopped, you were like, that was good, very good execution, my friend.
Just try again. We'll nail it.
Okay. Well, I mean, you made a really good point to me via text, which was...
Well, what I was thinking was that... Here's my thought with Keaton Mitchell right now. At the trade deadline, if you didn't get him on waivers, if you're interested, if you're looking, maybe someone after this game, you can still make a deal that'll go through on Tuesday, but you can make it before the deadline. If you are a winning team and you are in a position to make the playoffs, that is when I would go trade for Keaton Mitchell. It feels like Keaton Mitchell has an opportunity to be that playoff stretch hero, that almost Evan Ingram of last year. It feels like he has a case to be there because they are clearly trying to get him more involved. I just think it's going to take a little time here, but they are clearly excited about this guy. Except for inside the 5-yard line, then it's going to go to Gus Edwards. But I think if you're in a position where you're locked into playoffs, Keaton Mitchell is a trade target right now, especially with a 5.1 point game after a couple good ones. Someone might be disappointed. Someone might be going, I wasted fab on this. I wasted a waiver priority. Let me try and get somebody else. Worth going for, in my opinion, if you're locked into the playoffs, if you're not necessarily in a win, like a must-win scenario to make the playoffs. If you need to win, those are the situations where I don't think I would give up Devontae Smith, even though obviously we like him more than Drake London, but there's a really high upside piece in Keaton Mitchell because I think Devontae Smith can help you continue to win and secure that playoff spot, and then you figure it out from there. But that's where I'm at on Keaton Mitchell. I think I'm not panicked. They're clearly wanting him on the field. They're clearly wanting the ball in his hands. They were feeding him runs that weren't working for him. I mean, 8 for 33, and at one point he had 2 carries for a -5 yards. So he essentially went 6 for 38 whenever it came to those plays where he just got stuffed in the backfield. So good things to come for Keaton Mitchell, I believe. So, you have anything else on the promising young rookie, Wes?
Other than imagine if he and A-Chain are both on the Dolphins.
Oh my gosh. McDaniel, make the call.
Imagine.
Make a trade. Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They just give Tua like random weeks off. They'd be like, you're good. We'll wildcat this thing. We'll just
throw it.
Yeah, you're fine.
Tyreek will still get the single season reception record.
Yeah, we'll be all good. Our don't start for this game was Trenton Irwin, 6.6 fantasy points. Good call there. Obviously, could have been different if it was Joe Burrow, but good call. Hope you didn't start him. Definitely either, regardless there. Lamar Jackson, though. Good game. 27.96 fantasy points, 264 yards, and 2 passing touchdowns, 54 yards on the ground. He looks good. It was good to see Lamar get back to the star kind of player role that we've come to know him as. 264 yards on 16 completions. That is wild. Dude was bombing it. A lot of chunk plays that didn't go for touchdowns. Some that did. Like Nelson Aguilar, 10.7 fantasy points. 1 catch on 1 target, quote unquote. What, dude? I was so annoyed. I was like, "Why? They could have gone to say Flowers. They could have been say Flowers."
Everything is so skewed when you have your own players, and you're like, "Oh, what a joke! This coach sucks."
Yeah, this guy's terrible. It was actually really impressive. They showed the replay in slow mo, and like the tip happened, and Aguilar wasn't even really looking at the ball until last second. Then he was like, "Oh, I'm just running." It just landed in my arms. All right, cool. And then he takes it, and he flips into the end zone for a touchdown. Good stuff there. Gus Edwards continues to be really good. Broke off a couple chunk plays, 12 carries for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think this is, I believe this is this 9? I think this is 9 touchdowns in the last 5 games. I think. Now I actually
crazy. I'll look it up if you want to. You want to roll down.
I want to confirm that. Yeah. Okay. So we'll just do that there. Odell Beckham Jr. Big game for him. Big chunk play towards the end of the game. 7 targets, 4 catches for 116. And then Joe Mixon, we talked about 21 fantasy points. He saw 21 opportunities in this half Jake Browning offense, but 69 rushing yards. 5 targets is something you love to see for PPR. 31 yards in the receiving touchdown. Can we just talk about the receiving touchdown real quick? Because, man, they showed that replay. I just felt so bad for Burrow, dude. He gets that ball up. He was just in agony as soon as he let that ball go. Like, it was just like, oh, man, dude is not feeling good right now. And then Jamar Chase, 9.2 fantasy points, 7 targets. That's okay. You want him to be higher quality targets probably, but 2 catches and a 2-yard receiving touchdown at the end of the game to salvage your night a little bit. Hopefully. Hey, here's the good thing, Next Thursday, we get 3 games. They can't all suck.
They can't all be bad.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Happy Thanksgiving. It'll be a grand time.
Oh, goodness.
Watching football. And then on Black Friday. Go ahead.
Gus Edwards, 9 touchdowns in the last 5 games.
Absurd. That is ridiculous. His previous season high in his career was 4
it's
at
10.
one point, in a whole
10
season.
In the year.
Yeah, that's insane. What a guy. That's gonna do it for Thursday night. Thank God, finally we're through that again. Let's jump into a Week 11 preview, do some studs and duds, and then close out the episode for you. Studs and duds, as always, guys that are going to exceed expectations and guys that are going to disappoint. We want to set your expectations in the right spot there. Maybe persuade you to start somebody or bench somebody that you're thinking about. So good things to come here in studs and duds. Wes, hit me with your stud for Week 11.
Well, we've recently taken pride in our waiver wire segments, which is our obvious start and our under the radar, or not start, our obvious waiver wire ad and our under the radar waiver wire ad, because there are, usually one player that stands out every week. I'm not going to say this is a cop-out, but I want this to be clear in case anyone needs the reassurance, any reminders as to whether or not you should start this player. Fire up Devon Achane. All right. If anyone was worried, if anyone was scared, if anyone was not sure what the injury looks like, is on IR, if anyone wonders, I don't know, the Raiders are kind of on a roll. This Antonio Pierce thing is kind of working. If anyone's looking at the Dolphins, might not be all that great. They have good record and stuff. Devon Achane is really freaking good. And even though he's just a rookie, he has been amazing. And everyone has been waiting to play him. So if you have Achane or you traded for Achane when he was put on IR, you fire him up and you probably just lock him in your lineup for the rest of the season, because that guy can get you 13 points on a single play.
Yeah.
He is remarkable. So if anyone needed any kind of reassurance, anything to know that it is worth starting Devon Achane, this is it. Fire him up and enjoy his return. He's my stud.
I agree with you. And I think we've been waiting on this. And I think, while you may be a little concerned watching the game on Sunday if you're going to watch for him, I know he's going to be ready. Mike McDaniel wouldn't send him out there if he wasn't ready. But I do wonder what the workload looks like. I wonder if he'll reach 10 touches on Sunday. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He can get 7 touches on Sunday's game and score you 25 fantasy points. That's the kind of guy this guy is. That's the kind of skill that Devon Achane has. And that is the kind of hack that he is for fantasy football. And so go ahead, roll out Devon Achane. I'm terrified, Wes, because you're playing him against me. And I am horrified. I am not excited about this.
I'm hoping he's going to be amazing.
Hopefully he just matches Zay Flowers and scores 8 points. Who knows? That's just for my sake.
On one play, he might.
Yeah, maybe on one touch. Yeah, there you go. Listen, my stud for Week 10, we talked about it a little bit already, is Devontae Smith. He is back in action without Dallas Goedert. That is the key piece here. No Dallas Goedert last year led to a 27% target share for Devontae Smith. He was fantastic. He balled out in that 5-game span. He was incredible. And they go up against Kansas City on Monday night. Now, Kansas City has allowed a touchdown to a wide receiver in 78% of their games this year. I believe that is 7 out of 9 of their games. They have allowed a receiving touchdown to a wide receiver. And he's going to pop off. And just the last piece to convince people on that is that Wes also has Devontae Smith in his lineup against me. So he's going to score 45 points. That's how that's going to go. It's just Devon Achane and Devontae Smith are going to put up 90 points collectively against me this weekend on your team, Wes. It's going to be great, because that's AJ Brown's going to put up 90 points by himself. That's what's going to happen, baby.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
And then I'm going to need this. Oh my gosh.
No, but Devontae Smith, week 11 stud, very, very easily. He is going to come out and be fantastic. So go ahead, fire him up. I know it's been up and down, but all the confidence in the world. You may be looking at it and go, well, they shut down Tyreek Hill. They shut down Jalen Waddle pretty well. And Devonta Smith is fantastic. It's the Eagles and the Chiefs, and somehow, some way, big things are going to happen. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But Devonta Smith is a Week 11 stud.
He is good. It's been a fantasy disappointment, but I do think that is completely attributed to AJ Brown's MVP-like season. And when someone is playing that gosh darn well, you just get him the football, especially when in week 2 when AJ Brown is like, give me the football. And then he gets the football, and now he's breaking records. And it was similar to last year when Goddard went down. Devonta Smith stepped up in big ways where he was putting up 30-plus points. And, I mean, maybe this is why I was so high on him going into the years, because I lost in the semifinals to Devonta Smith against the Cowboys sometime around Christmas last year. So maybe that is what has persuaded me to believe he was a top 10 finish on the year. But without Goddard, that is when Smith stepped up last year. And I do have faith. Kind of feels like now or never, If he doesn't put up big time points in fantasy this year, he could be a bench candidate.
Yeah, you're right. It's now or never, and it's going to happen. It's now. That's where we're at. That's it. Yeah. Who is a Week 11 dud, Wes? Tell me about it.
I just don't think it's worth starting Brandon Cooks of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
I like what happened a lot last week. We all did. We talked about it. Noah and I both agree. We want to see it again. I mean, when you get 10 targets, that's serious. That's really good. But this guy had no more than 4 catches in any game before that. And you just have to wonder, is that legitimate? Can you actually fire Brandon Cooks? And there are plenty of people that I know personally, teams that I beat that didn't start Brandon Cooks, and they all said, if I'd only started Brandon Cooks. And now people are going in this week and they're starting Brandon Cooks. And say what you want about the Panthers offense. The Panthers defense is one of the best against wide receivers in fantasy this year, somehow, some way. And I don't think this is the week. Like you said, Noah, every week is a playoff game at this point. And you got to fire up the people that you trust the most. And what has Brandon Cooks done to give us the confidence to line him up with just a couple of weeks to go before fantasy playoffs? He's not the guy right now. If he does it again this week, then we'll have the conversation. You go start him after this. But I cannot line him into my starting roster and say, that's going to bring me to 500. Brandon Cooks, baby. Yeah. He's my dud for the week.
Yeah, I love when people are like, if only I had started Brandon Cooks. And it's like, over who? And it's like, well, I had Keenan Allen, and I had and I had I had Keenan Allen, and I had AJ Brown in there. And then, okay, so not over either of them. So who's your flex? Well, Deontay Johnson. Well, you wouldn't have started Brandon Cooks over any of them. That wouldn't make any sense.
Obviously,
don't do that. Here's the last thing: they're playing the Panthers. You just said they're good against wide receivers. I'll tell you why. The Carolina Panthers are this year's Houston Texans. People just run the ball. People just run the ball on the Panthers because their run defense is so bad. Deontay Foreman had a revenge game: 17 fantasy points against them, 20 carries, 80 yards, something like that. You run the ball against the Panthers. Can Tony Pollard do that? No. Rico Dowdle, 40-point game. Here we go. That's gonna be. That's what it is. Dak Prescott's running for 160 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. It's just you don't roll out Brandon Cooks after this. It's not something you can be confident in, especially because he is still like the 3rd option for targets right now behind CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. So easy dud there. Yeah, don't buy the big performance. Don't chase the points. It's not going to happen for you this week. It's the Panthers. They're going to blow them out. Not for the passing game. Simple as that. That's all I got.
Okay. Dud me, Noah, for week 11.
I'm going to dud you, dude. Week 11 dud is Isaiah Pacheco. So I understand. You see the projection. You see how good he's been this year. He's got a nearly a 15-point projection in sleeper leagues, I believe. I get it. You got to remember, you didn't have him last week because of the bye week. He was out of sight, out of mind. He scored less than 7 fantasy points in his previous 2 games. And now he goes up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who allow the fewest rushing yards per game to running backs. Don't get tempted on Pacheco. Don't look at it and think, yeah, I mean, he's just been so good, I got to fire him back up. It's not like he's a first or second round running back that it's like you keep him in because they're your guys. Pacheco is not in a positive matchup this week. He will struggle, and I do not expect him, again, to reach a double-digit mark. I'm not sold. I think it's going to be a tough game for him. The Miami Dolphins, who are fantastic at running the football, had a very hard time running the football against the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, Tony Pollard didn't do much running the football against the Eagles. Not going to be a good week for Isaiah Pacheco. Go ahead and have him stay on the bench there for one more week and then roll him back out. The Eagles are just such a negative matchup for running backs, and Isaiah Pacheco, maybe he'll be super motivated to come out and do well, but I do not expect him to be able to come out and succeed against the Eagles defense. So Isaiah Pacheco is a week 11 done.
It's a risk to bench Pacheco because he's been having a solid season, but if you've got to make the kind of move, I can see people doing that. I can see someone saying like, okay, the Eagles, gosh, Jalen Carter, man. We just thought of Jalen Carter for a second. That guy is, I've heard some like Hall of Fame Pro Bowl defensive lineman say he doesn't even know how good he is. He doesn't even know yet. I mean, he, speaking of that Dolphins game, aside from all the penalties and stuff, he like with the palm of his hand injured one of the Dolphins linemen for weeks just by like pushing him on his back. That Dolphin lineman was out for weeks. He's really good. Not to mention everyone else on that front four and everyone else on that defense. I get, there's the temptation to say, okay, they might want to run a lot to keep Jalen Hurts off the field, but it does depend. It depends if you don't have a better option, because you may just have, like, oh, my other option is, it's some random Ty Chandler. Well, Ty Chandler would, I've got hope on Ty Chandler. It's a plus. It's a plus. It's a plus. Yeah. But you get the idea. I can't think of any particular names right now. But if you don't have a better option, then stick with Pacheco. But I can see someone might want to try to pull off that move and be like, I got to work around my roster so I can get that last couple W's so I can get in the playoff picture here. Okay, let's see what happens. That Eagles defense is no joke. And it also feels like the Chiefs are kind of getting away with a lot of wins. So maybe something happens here.
Yeah. And not to mention that you can throw the ball quite well against the Philadelphia Eagles. They are giving up the most fantasy points to wide receivers in all of fantasy. So expect Rashee Rice to have a game here. We'll see what happens. That is going to do it for the episode. Let us know if you're a Joe Burrow owner and if you're a Bengals skill player owner, what you're thinking about doing. Drop it in the comments. Let us know if you get any trades done. Also, let us know who your studs and duds for week 11 are. And make sure you are following us on our socials. Like we said, taking a little bit of time off for the holiday. We're going to be putting exclusive content out there on social media for you guys. Make sure you're following us everywhere at 4th and Troll, on Facebook at 4th and Troll Fantasy. It's going to be a good time. We will see you after Thanksgiving. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.
4th and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media and Selby Artistic Workshop.